Hi, I'm Wiz, and I'm going to do my presentation this week on the American Meteorological Society, and that's a group that I was very heavily involved in at Iowa State. My undergrad was in meteorology, if you didn't already know that. And I had a lot of fun here. It was a great community. I met a lot of people. I'm still really, really good friends with basically everyone that I met through um, the AMS, as it's called in short. And there's the National AMS, which I'll get to, and then there's obviously this was the Iowa State student chapter, and we were kind of special in that sense, in that we were specifically for students at Iowa State. Um, and our core interests, obviously, are meteorology. That's mostly what we talked about. Because it was all weather related things. Yeah, we talked about other things, like things we were going to do within the club, but it was always somehow there was a tie back to meteorology and everything that we did. And another reason that people would join the community, so another interest would be like for professional connections. Sometimes we would have speakers come in. There's also the National AMS meeting every year. This year it was in Atlanta. I wasn't able to go, but I've been in the past to present research, and it's a lot of fun to meet a lot of people you never thought you'd meet before, and make professional connections so that you can further yourself in the business world. But it also, there's a lot of social connections that happen. Again, I made most of my friends in college were within the meteorology program, and the majority of people in the program participated heavily in AMS. I was actually an officer for 2 years, um, and so again, I was very heavily involved. It was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of interesting things. The National AMS was founded in 1919, and again, it's just a professional organization for meteorologists. And even meteorology enthusiasts. Like, I don't actually have a job in meteorology yet, but I am still a member of the National AMS. Um, but then there's smaller chapters all over the nation. Again, there's general chapters, which are for adults and professionals out in the real world, and then there's student chapters that are specifically for students at universities. And if you go to the National AMS page, there's ways you can get involved. You can find a link to your local chapter, find student chapters all around. And so that's really how it got started. It was just professional meteorologists interested in connecting with each other. I would say we're closest to a web community, um, because there's a lot of social connections that go on. Everyone is pretty much equal. Yes, there are officers, but we're all really good friends, and the officers will listen to you whether you're a freshman or whether you're a senior, and they'll take your opinion, and they're not going to like think any less of you because of your age. And so I'd say that puts us closest to a web community. We have a lot of social ties. Everyone's close to everyone else. We interact by there's monthly meetings that go on, and then there's also social activities outside those meetings. So something like a bonfire, or I know this weekend there's actually a chili cook-off, and I really wish I could go, but I'm in Connecticut and this is in Iowa. So, but there's a lot of social activities. There's also professional conferences, like I mentioned. There's the National AMS. And then they have a Facebook group and a website, and I'm going to quick interrupt the PowerPoint to talk about those a little bit. This is the AMS website. You can see this is the list of officers. There's, I think I counted them, there's 13 of them. And that's not counting past president, which isn't really an office, but it's just a way for you to get in contact with the person that was the president last, which the president is always a senior. And so having the past president available for the current president is nice. But if you go to the homepage, you can see there's chapter news. There's, again, like I mentioned, there's a chili cook-off tonight. Um, and this is just a way to get in contact with people. If you go here, there's links to forecast contests and member resources, which you can see is an extensive list. We interact a lot on the forums. I was particularly involved in Size Eyes on the Skies, which was a weather program, and that was how we picked who was going to be on air every night, is you'd go to the forums and sign up for which section you wanted to do. And so it was first come, first serve, and it was really, really nice that way, so that everyone could have a chance, whether you were a freshman or a senior. And so there's a lot to do on the website, a lot of information, but they also, within the last 2 years, created a Facebook group, and it's an open group, so basically anyone can invite anyone else, but it's mostly current and former members of the ISU chapter of AMS, and you can see they just went to a hockey game in Des Moines. But it's mostly the officers that post. Every once in a while, someone that's not an officer, like this one isn't an officer, but it's something about AMS and about Iowa State. So there's a lot of different things that you can do within their Facebook group. She was a former officer, and they were looking to see if they wanted to do an official AMS Iowa State dinner at the conference this year. And so that's really the interaction on the Facebook page, is mostly for the social interaction. And they'll post when meetings are, but again, it's mostly to share the social interaction with everybody. And so that's really how we interact. The overall value, I actually took this directly from the Iowa State AMS website. You can see it's being a part of meteorology enthusiasts, so you meet a lot of people with the same interests as you. You build new friendships and relationships. I know actually a lot of my friends ended up dating and getting married that met within this group, and so it's a great way to meet people. Networking, again, the professional networking, being able to provide outreach to the community. I was the outreach chair, so I did a lot with educational outreach, doing presentations to school children about meteorology to help get them interested in it. And then again, there's the many social events and lectures and other events that the AMS promotes. So there's just a lot of ways to get to know people, whether it's on a friendship level or on a professional level. The proportions, again, like I said, there are 13 officers. I was right when I was saying that before. And I consider those the creators, because they are doing most of the creation of content. They come up with the ideas, they implement them, they actually will be the ones getting other people to help out. Most people, there's about 40 to 50 members every year, so most people are critics. They can help out with the things that the officers create. They can present ideas. So sometimes they are creators, but most of the time they're critics, saying whether or not they like what's going on, what they don't like, how to improve things. There are a few lurkers, but I don't know that I would consider that really, there's not a whole lot of them, because you have to attend meetings. I think you have to attend at least half of the meetings every year to be considered an actual member of AMS. So there are very few lurkers. Everyone is involved in everything. So we're mostly creators and critics. But again, it's a really fun group. I had a lot of fun with it. I made the majority of my friends through that group. And so it's a great example of a web community.